These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
Overall, a good game. Let's talk about those turnovers, though, because the turnovers were not fun to watch, and they almost cost them the game. The big thing for me is, and I think Scal said this on the broadcast, and I know Joe Mazzulla has talked about it as well. When you're playing turnover-free basketball, your defense has time to get set, and that improves your defense. When you're turning the ball over a lot, the other team is getting out in transition, scoring a lot, and your defense looks worse, and you're scrambling around. And I think that's when the Celtics are at their best, when they're playing turnover-free basketball. And Joe Mazzulla said, John Corrales asked him this question. Basically, he was saying nothing good happens when you pass up the first shot. And he corrected himself, when you pass up the first open shot, right? Because if you pass up that first open look, then you get into an offense. And if you don't get another look, you're going to scramble and you're more likely to turn the ball over, right? And so I think that's why Joe Mazzulla prefers the quick offense, because it sort of mitigates the turnovers. And in turn, when you're not turning the ball over, your defense plays well. Now, there are obviously some flaws. If you shoot an early shot, it bounces off the rim really far and they get out in transition really quick. But I feel like it's more dangerous to turn the ball over than it is to take an early look and then have to get back quickly. You know what I'm saying? So I think the turnovers tonight were not an issue of passing up looks. I think a lot of it was, I mean, I can point to two people. It was Jaylen Brown had 6 turnovers, and I thought Malcolm Brogdon had a bigger turnover game. That's because Jaylen Brown had 6 turnovers in the second half, which is why I was off there. He had 7 on the game. And then kind of everybody was just getting lost in this log. Everyone that touched the floor against the Pelicans outside of Luke Cornett and Peyton Pritchard had a turnover. Like the whole team was just getting sloppy. They weren't crashing the glass at times. It just kind of looked like they were getting out of sorts. But Jaylen Brown was the real
finals.
Exactly. And Jaylen Brown was the big culprit who we can talk about. But
felt like I was watching the finals.
Yeah, turnovers were rough, though. What do you make of the turnovers? And we can talk about Jaylen Brown specifically in a little bit, but like turnovers, what do you think of?
Well, the good thing is this isn't a consistent thing for this team. We haven't been on this podcast. We haven't been on the pre-games complaining about turnovers so far this season, which is great. We saw really poor defense to start the season. That looks like it's on the up and up. But again, as far as the turnovers go, it doesn't seem like a consistent thing. Jaylen Brown, as an individual, has been less careless so far this year. He has seemed like he's more under control, and his handle seems a little bit tighter, and he's getting to the basket with ease. Even tonight, he had a couple of real good drives. There was one that he missed the layup, and on the broadcast, Scal was arguing he might have got fouled. It was like a really great drive. He was in transition, read the defense. It parted like the Red Sea for him, and he just got right to the rim, right to his right hand. No problem there. Another great fast break. Horford to Brown, back to Horford was a great run. Ended with that big Al dunk, who was great again tonight. Him and Derek White both dropping threes, not missing in the first half at all. I mean, what a night from those guys. But the turnovers, just careless. I mean, it doesn't help that New Orleans is a gritty team that has a good defense.
Herb Jones was kind of getting in there.
Alvarado, those guys are pests. And you saw Alvarado get him a couple times, especially down the stretch. He was a big key why that game was so close. He was fired up. Good player. Would be a good Celtic. Not that they need him. Definitely don't need him. Enough guards.
I agree. Turnovers haven't been as big an issue this year. Jaylen Brown is actually the only Celtic averaging more than 3 turnovers a game. 3.3. Jason Tatum sitting at 2.4. Brogdon 1.9. Smart 1.6. I'm going to cough 1 second.
He coughed. You might not see it if you're listening, but if you're watching, you saw it.
Watch on YouTube. There's something sneaking up there that was not going to be quelled for long. Yeah, Celtics are averaging the 4th least turnovers in the NBA. So they have the 4th best number in the league, only averaging 13.3 turnovers a game, which is great considering where they were last year. Probably ideally want to be around that 12 to 14 range. I mean, ideally you want to be at 0, but that's not a realistic mark to shoot for. So,
and another thing tonight, a lot of turnovers. No Marcus Smart. That could be a factor. Your starting point guard that averages 7 assists and only 1.6 turnovers, not in the game. you were relying on other guys to distribute the ball. Not that that's always a problem. Tatum's done a good job in the 2 games
Derek
where
White
Smart's
did a
been
good
out.
job.
Derek White was good. He was excellent
Mhm.
shooting again. Even Jaylen
But-
Brown had a lot of assists tonight. He just turned it over a bunch in the second half. But early in the game,
Yes.
he was finding guys out from 3 like almost every time he drove. He was doing a great
100%.
job at taking what was given to him.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing to note when we're talking about turnovers is the Celtics won by how many points? What was the final score?
They won by 8.
They won
7?
by 8 points. Yeah. Pelicans
Also, how
scored-
about the Pelicans fouling when the game was clearly out of
Oh
reach?
yeah, that was lame. That was lame. But
Sorry.
no, you're good. What I was saying is 24 of the Pelicans' points were fast break points. They're the turnovers for you. They had 15 fast break opportunities. They scored on 10 of them. Like it was very clear that the Celtics were throwing the game away with the turnovers. They fought through it, but it was just over dribbling. Like they were getting into the paint. They were playing panicked. They were rushing things. But I think it's important that they play fast. But when they're in the half court, they can't rush things. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't rush things when they're trying to get into their sets. So I'm glad they turned it around and they figured it out. But the turnovers were definitely.
Tic-tac